This is the second tutorial I'm making for our custom Girls Who Code Club website. Please watch the first one first. If you haven't yet, then this one will make more sense. In this video, we're going to be updating this project ideas page to be prettier. Right now, it's just a couple of lists, and I want to update this to make each bullet a little tile on the screen that has an image representing what kind of game or project you're making. And then when you hover over that tile, it'll show you more details about how that game would work in this context. All right, so let's update this page. So before I started this, I created, let me get my code up. I got a bunch of image files and put them in my project file here. Here we go, it's in the images. Boom, so we have things for all these games like Hangman, Higher Lower, Mad Libs. And this is all the images for my entire site. So since I have a lot of images just for this page, I'm going to create a new folder inside my images folder to keep them separate. Make sure you're keeping your code organized as you're writing it like this. So I'm going to name this Project Ideas. And Battleship is one. Let's select a bunch of them. Choose your own adventure, guess the number. Oh, we can make sure these images are working over here. Hangman, Higher Lower, Mad Libs, Magic 8 Ball, Matching, Minesweeper, Pig Latin, Portfolio, Tic-Tac-Toe. Okay, pretty much all these. We're gonna move these to Project Ideas. Move. Okay, cool, so now they're all in their own folder, so our images folder isn't every picture. Now I'm doing this right off the bat. I haven't done this before, so you're going to work with me through the issues of having to Google things and figure out what we need to make this happen. So I know first thing I need to do is restructure my HTML. So right now if I inspect this, I see that it is an unordered list. That's what this UL tag means, which is wrapping these LIs, which is a list item. Which makes a little bullet points like this. So this structure, the UL with LIs inside of it, creates this bulleted list. So we don't want a bulleted list anymore, and we're going to need to change the structure of our HTML. So I'm going to go back into code, and I'm going to find the project ideas. Nope, ideas page. Okay. So here's the lists I was seeing here. I do have a title to each one. I have easy beginner coding projects and then basic web development. I'm going to leave those so we have sections, but I'm going to replace this code here. I'm going to comment it out for now so I know everything I'm going to be replacing so I don't lose any of these things. It's just like a little list I can reference now. Comments, you can hold command or control and then the / and it comments whatever you have highlighted. When code is commented, it doesn't run. It's like it's not there at all. So if I push this up, my list would be gone. Even though they're still here, they're commented out, so they're not gonna render. Okay. So let's see, what do I need? So I need squares on the page. And I want all those squares to be the same size. So I could just put my images straight up on the page, but I want to have more control over like their size and other things that layer on top of them, like the text that's going to go on top of them. So I need to put everything that I'm going to layer in a box that contains all of them. Whenever something is inside of an element, it can't go outside that element unless you give it some specific CSS styling. So I'm going to set up each list item in my commented code to be a div or box that you can't see unless you style it, containing an image and then a title and a description, and I'm going to tell it when to display certain things. Like I don't want the description to display unless you highlight or hover over the tile. So we're going to get everything in here first, and then the CSS is what's going to make the magic happen. Okay, so I need a div. And so while I'm thinking about this, there's going to be multiple divs for each tile. I want all the tiles to be styled the same size-wise and a bunch of other common styling. So I'm going to use a class here on these divs and name them something. So let's make it a class because we're going to have more than one. So we're making it a class. I'm going to name it project tile. Boom. Okay, so I got a div. And then inside that div, I need an image. IMG. We set its source to the picture we want. So I'm going to do the magic 8-ball first. So I am outside of the resources folder. I need to get into the resources folder, into the images folder, and then into the project ideas folder. So I got resources, images, project ideas, magic 8-ball. Boom. We're going to set some alt text to, and then that should be it. Actually, I'm going to give this an ID in case we need to edit picture sizes specifically. We might not need these, but I'm going to go ahead and add them now that I'm editing this. So our ID is going to be 8-ball. Okay. Then I need text. I don't want it to be an H1 because that's pretty big. Let's see, this H3 versus an H2. Let's see what those look like on the page. So this is an H2, this is an H3. I think I'm going to try an H2 and see if it looks too big or not. H2. Magic 8-ball. Okay, so this project tile is my first one. This is my magic 8-ball. I'm going to copy it and make another one. And I'm going to leave the class because I want each of these tiles to be called a project tile. I'm going to change my image because my next one in my list down here is choose your own adventure. Choose. It's not going to suggest for me. There we go. Choose your own adventure. Change my alt text. Okay. I'm just going to name that one adventure. Beautiful. Okay. I'm going to pause my recording and keep putting these in here, and then I will show you the rest. But I'm basically going to make one of these for each item in each list under their titles. So one sec, let me do all that real quick. Okay, I have created the markup for all of my tiles. Let's start back at the beginning. I added one more piece to it. So we have a div, that is our project tile. We have our image that represents our game. We have our title, and then I also added a description, which is going to show when the user hovers over the card. So we have a bunch of these for each project. They're separated into Python projects and web development projects. So these are all my Python ones. And then, oh, it actually formatted it for me. I'm going to put nope, I'm just going to leave it as is. We're going to see what this looks like without any styling. And I know it's not going to look good. So we're going to deploy to my Firebase site. And then we're going to have to do some work here to style everything. So I also added a class to the description, like I added to the title and the tile. So we can edit all of these to look the same, because each tile, these should look the same. The size of the tile, the words on the tile. One thing that has an ID instead is our image, because each of my image files are different sizes, so they might need custom styling. So I gave them IDs so I can pick them out individually, versus the text and the boxes that are all going to be the same. So I've deployed. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to clear cache and hard reload. Okay, so like I said, our images are maximum size. They're whatever size file we downloaded. Our divs, we can't see them because they're not styled. They're just the containing box right here. So our div, let me go to the guess the number one. Our div is wrapped around our image, our title, and our description. It holds everything in there. And this div is what we're going to style to make it look like a tile. So I'm going to mess with my styles in here first. Let's start with somebody small. Let's start with this one. So I know I want my div, let's see, max, no, I'm going to go with my width. Let's say maybe we fit 3 tiles in a row. So I'm going to give them a width of 33%. No. Yeah, 33%. Okay. Oh, okay. So I put that on only this one because I put it on the element style. But I'm going to want to add a class. Oh. Okay, that's what I wanted. Sorry. This plus button creates the class that I have on here. And now I can style each of them. So I'm going to give them each a width of 33%. Okay, so that's a nice smaller size. Let's see what's going on. So this one, the image is going outside of the box because I need to make my image smaller. But I think this might be a good size. But at the same time, the height of this, it's not a square. And I want these to be squares. Let me try to hover this one. Oh, it won't show me the size of it. But I want these to be square tiles. So I'm going to make my images small enough to start with. Like this ridiculously large magic 8 ball. I'm going to make each image here. Can I have this? Nope. Okay, well I'm going to select each image on this page. And make them, let's say, the width is like 500 pixels. Okay, let's go a little smaller. I'm going to use pixels here because these don't need to be massive in any situation. They're just a little indicator. Keep going down. And I kind of want these to be as big as my tiles are. So maybe 400 pixels. That looks pretty good. Notice they're all shrunken down because I'm selecting by the image tag. So everything that is an image is getting edited by this. Okay, I like that size. So I'm going to put that in the code. I'm going to get all the image tags on my project ideas page and set them to 400 pixels wide. So I have my CSS folder and I have my custom CSS page just for this ideas page. So this CSS is linked up here, ideas.css, and this is the only HTML page that has this CSS file linked. This one is on all of them. And if I put an image tag selector in there, it would style all images to be 400 pixels. But this one is just for this page, and I'm going to add it here. One thing that's going to happen with this, but I'm going to do it first. So all my images width needs to be 400 pixels. One issue is I have another image on this page, and that is my Girls Who Code logo. So since I am selecting all my images by their tag name, that is not very specific. It can be any image ever. But this ID, this Girls Who Code logo ID, is specific to this image. So CSS respects the most specific selector first. So if I size this by Girls Who Code logo, then that will take precedent over my style I just added that's just on the image tag. So this one can be its independent size compared to the other image tags because I can reference it with this ID. And I think I've already done that. Let's see. I'm going to search for that. Yes, so in my global styles, I have a height and a margin set on my logo. So since this is a height, I might actually, that width might still get applied. So I'm going to make sure I'm setting a width also here. So let's see how big it is. Oh, look. Yep, it did it. It sized it right there. So that's what's going to happen if I push this code. So I'm going to get the width of this and set it to that. Let's see. It is 188 pixels wide. But I want this to be in EMs so it will scale. So let's just ballpark it. We're going to say 4. Oh, right. Okay. It's got to be more than 5. Let's say 8. Nope. 10. Almost. 11 looks pretty good. Let me toggle this on and off. Okay, so it's a little bit wider naturally. So let's bump it up. If I can get there. To 12. That might be right. Okay, 12 looks good. So I'm going to set 12 EMs on the width. So since this is more specific by selecting by the ID, this will overwrite the style we just put on this page to style our image tags for that specific image. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, refresh. Beautiful. So now our images are small enough. I haven't touched my text yet. My logo still looks good. Cool. So now I want my text and, well, first off, I want my text to not display because I want this, my description, to display only on hover. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that in the CSS. And I've given each of those descriptions the class description. So I'm going to go into my ideas style custom to this page and add a class selector, which starts with a period, called description. And I'm going to tell it to display none. So display none means don't show it at all. Display has other properties, like this is how we do our flex styling. There's other, yep, that's about, let's see what other options we got here. There's a whole bunch of options there. They all do a little bit different things. They're good to go through in the Chrome console if you want to see what they look like. But here I know I want to display none, so it is hidden. And push that. Okay, I'm going to refresh. And now all my descriptions are gone. So now I want my titles to overlap my images, and I'm going to do that with positioning. So let's see what happens when I go through those display styles here. So I'm going to do display. One sec, let me close my door. Okay. I'm going to do, let's see what all these display options look like. So I'm just going to click through here. And this is on the div, the whole box around it. Ooh, okay, see that moved my title. Looking where the magic 8 ball is going. None. So I don't think this is going to be a display property that we want. There's another similar thing called position, and let's look at that real quick. So I'm going to Google position CSS. Okay. So position, we have, let me look at our options here. Static, the element is positioned normally. This is how everything is right off the bat. Relative, it's positioned according to the normal flow of the document like it is now, but it is related to how it's positioned with everything else next to it. Absolute, it's removed from the normal flow, so it doesn't know where it is in the space. No space is created, like its box doesn't take up space, and it's positioned closest to its ancestor, which would be the thing it is contained in, its containing block. So this is what we want, where it's floating, it's not taking up space, but it is still closest to its containing block, which is that div. The last two options here is fixed. Fixed is similar to absolute, where it's not taking up space, but it's also not related to its containing block. So it's just floating fully on the page, and you tell it where to go based on top, right, bottom, and left. And then sticky is what we use for like scrolling. If you want a toolbar that's at the top and you want to be able to scroll under it and it stays there, that's what sticky's for. But we're going to use position absolute here. So position absolute. See, look, now we got it floating right here. So now I need to make sure it's in the middle of my thing. I want it to just hover over the top. Wait a minute. Yeah. It's weird that it is not related to the other thing anymore, that this other one is under it. But I'm just gonna keep working and see what happens. Oh, I see why. I put it on the project tile, so I made this whole thing float, and now it's floating over the one under it. So I just want that on my header right here. Position, absolute. Okay. Okay, so it's still at the bottom, but I should be able to move it over the image here. Let's see, what can I do to do that? Let's see, let's make sure I can. I'm gonna add margin bottom. Okay, so that didn't do anything either. Let's try our top right and bottom thing. Ooh, this value creates new stacking content. Okay, we're gonna try top. So if I set the top to 0, that means it's a 0 distance from the top. Okay, so that put it all the way at the top of the page. You can't really tell right here, but it's up there. So that's not what we want. Let's try adding a display property to our div. Again, now that I have that position. Oh, there we go. So now we're getting that moving around on top of our picture. Okay, that's just as I thought. Our flex looks pretty good. So with flex, our title is hovering over right here. And now we just need to make sure it's in the center. So see how wide this is right here compared to our div? It's not taking up much of that width. And if I give it 100% width, it's gonna match the width of this div here. And if it matches that width, then I can center that text. So I'm gonna give it width of 100%. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted it to be the same width of the div. So I'm going to use my flex styling instead and see what happens. This is my trial and error going on. So with the Chrome console, it has this little tool here that can show you all those flex things that were on the website on my resources tab. Let's see if I change flex direction to column. Nothing happens. Okay, I can get it on these different spots. I'm going to leave it as it was. Flex wrap, I don't think is going to change anything. Align content, maybe this, let's see. Nope. Okay, that doesn't matter. Justify, there we go. Okay, so now I got it in the center. So I need justify content center on my div to get everything in there to the center. And then align items is going to, oh, magic, there we go. So now everything is aligned to the center. So everything is aligned in the center vertically and the center horizontally. And since this has position absolute, it's floating on top. So there we go. I've trial and errored. I figured it out. Flexbox is the most flexible. That makes sense why it's called Flexbox. This lets us, I don't think I need this. Okay. This lets us move things around pretty freely within their containing boxes or within the page. So I'm going to copy all this over. This is on my project tile, my divs that have that class. So I'm going to go to my ideas, class selector, project tile, boom. I don't need this one because I got rid of it. Nope. Everything is indented in the selector. Okay. And then one more style I had was making my tile position absolute was important to make it float over the top. If it has the regular position static, it comes after that Magic 8 Ball image. So now I have it floating because it's position absolute. So this goes on the title. Oop. Get my indents right. Okay, let's push that and see what it looks like. It should look like what we have here, but each one of them will be styled now because they all have that class that I'm styling by. Okay, it's pushed. Let's see. Hope I didn't forget something because it gets wiped from the console. Nice. Okay, beautiful. Sweet. Everything looks good. Some of my images are taller, like this. And I know that if I set a height, it's going to crop it. Or not crop it, it's going to squish it. But honestly, that's not terrible. Let's see if any of them look really terrible. Not too bad. So I think I'm fine with them getting squished. Okay, so I'm going to add this to my image tag styling to make sure they're all square. I want them to be square tiles. So my width of 400, I'm also going to add a height. Okay. Another issue is my text isn't very obvious on top of here. This one might not need it because it already has a title on that image. Okay, so I'm going to make my font bigger. And I should probably do that by making these H1 tags. But since I already coded all those in there, it would be a lot easier if I just added to the CSS. So I'm going to do that. Font size 15. Oh, that's smaller. Let's make it a percentage of the box. So if I did 100%, never mind. We're going to use EMs because they're scalable. And I'm just going to find one that looks good. A little big. Let's go to 2. Okay. 2 looks pretty good. We have some that are going off of their box, like, where was it? This one. So I'm going to make the words wrap, and that's called word wrap, I think. All of these selectors, you can Google them to figure them out. I just have them kind of memorized. So you need word wrap and you need white space. Ooh. Okay. They're not wrapping because we have them positioned absolute. So since all of these look good except that one, I'm just going to make that one have a return after choose your. So I do that. Let me find it. Choose your own adventure. You put a \n to indent. I think that will work. We will see. Oop, I also didn't update my font size. I want to update my font size to 2 EMs for the tile title. So I already have a tile title selector. Font size 2 EM. Cool. Let's push that again. Cool. Oh, not cool. It didn't work here. Let's Google that. So, and to paragraph tag HTML. I think I need one more thing here. Ah, so we need that white space attribute pre-line. Let's see if that works. Okay, negative. That's not what I want. Okay, how about this? / and not creating new lines in our period tag. Okay, looks like we just want to go with our BR tag. So BR is a line break. Let's see what this looks like. I'm not confident. BR, and nope, that's not right. Copy this, and then remove that. Okay, let's see. Oh, I didn't remove it from here. Repush. Now, I'm not confident that this text is going to look just right, but let's see. Gotta fix the problem child. Okay. Okay, just as I thought. It's stacked on top of each other, but we can fix that. So let's add margin to the top of the bottom one. Okay, let's try padding. Okay, there we go. So we need some padding on the top to split them up. Perfect. Padding top 2 EM, and I only need that on my second one, the own adventure part. So I'm gonna give that a class because I might have this situation again with different titles, called second line. Oh, hang on. So there's 2 class selectors here. I don't need another one. You can put all your classes in the same list, separated by spaces. That's why you have to have your classes hyphenated. So there we go. Now it has a class title, title, and second line. So now I need second line needs padding top of 2 EMs. So padding worked there and margin didn't, because padding is within the element and margin is outside of it. And since these are positioned absolute, they don't care about anything else next to them and they will overlap each other. But if one is taller than the other, it will bump it down versus the space outside of it. So it really only cares about the space within it. Okay. So now that that's done, I need to get these lining up with each other. And that looks just like our Flexbox row setup. So all these boxes, all these divs that I have need to be in a container that has Flexbox on it. Because I want my titles to stay the same where they are. I don't want them to be affected by Flexbox. So I'm going to add another div to my HTML here. And that's going to go under these titles. Div, I'm going to give it an ID here. Text-based tiles. So these are my text-based games. I'm going to cut the end tag and put it all the way at the end of these. Right here. And then I'm going to indent here. 1 second, actually. Let me pause my notifications so we don't get any more. Okay. All right, so now everything in that div needs to be indented. Okay. Ooh, it's getting confusing in here. So now I need another one right here under my next title. ID is going to be web tiles. Oh, okay. Take the end tag and put it at the bottom. Got to keep track of your tree here. That's what our HTML is called, a tree. Oh no, I was so close. Okay, indent, and then get that back out there. Okay. So this isn't going to look any different because I didn't tell the div to do anything. I just put a box, an imaginary box around everything. I'm going to look at it on my page and then I'm going to tell it how to look. Okay, so now I have my text-based tiles are all in this div. I'm going to tell that div to be display, flex. Wow, look at that. They're already all there. But the problem is they're running off the page. They go all the way over here. Ooh, and I've lost some images somehow. So I'm going to tell it, oh no, to be flex, and then we're going to set a max width of this. Hold on, sorry. Doing things without saying what I'm doing. Let's mess with our flex styles a little more. So we want to wrap. That's what we're doing. We're not wrapping right now, so they're just going off the page. So I do want to wrap. Ah, beautiful. Okay, that looks great. So now we are displaying correctly. Looks like we don't need that width. I'm going to get rid of it. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to move these over before I forget them. So these go on text-based tiles. They go on both of our things. And now that I say that, we might not need IDs on these. Let's make them classes instead. So I'm going to name this tile container. And this one, tile container. Okay. And over here, dot tile container needs that display property of flexbox. Now one more thing I'm going to do is add some space between these because I want them to be spaced out. So my divs, my project tiles, I'm going to add margin, and I only want it on the left and the right. So my, oh, no, actually, I want it all around. So I want it on the bottoms and on the left and the right. But I'm going to leave the top alone. So when you do margin just like this, you can put in 4 numbers. And it goes top, right, bottom, left. So my top is going to be 0. My right is going to be 1 EM. Let's see, if I add left also, it's going to double that. So I don't really want that. So I'm going to do 0 on the left and then 1 EM on the bottom. Oh, I guess I was wrong about that. Maybe it starts... Okay, we're gonna, let's see, 1 EM. So that's the right side. It starts on the right side, my bad. Right side, and then the bottom, I want 1 EM. And then the left, I want 0. Okay, let's apparently I don't know my margin setup here, so let's do this directly. Margin right, 1 EM. Margin bottom, 1 EM. Okay, that's better. Okay. I do kind of want 3 tiles per row, so I'm going to up my margin right. Oh, that was easy. There we go. Let's see, one more thing that's bothering me is, let's move this over before I do anything else. I need margin right and margin bottom in my project tile selector. Okay. One more thing I want to do is make everything centered within our boxes here. So I'm going to do that by editing my display property to justify content center. Wow, beautiful. Okay, justify content center needs to go in our tile container. Okay, let's deploy that. And I haven't deployed my class yet, so this is just affecting this first one. But since I made them both classes, now this one should also be fixed. Then I just have a few more pretty things to edit and our hover functionality. That didn't update. Let's empty cache. Okay, so this is where it becomes a pain because I am missing something. My tile container. Oh, I know what I did. This is still set to an ID, my tile container, and I'm selecting it with a class selector. So I need this ID tile container. I need this to be a class because I'm not selecting it in my CSS because I'm expecting an ID called tile container, or a class called tile container, and I have them as IDs. So let's deploy. Okay, refresh. Yes, they're beautiful now. Okay, looking good. Last things I want to do is make this text a little more readable. And I'm gonna add like a highlight somehow. Let's see, text highlight in CSS. That's not what I want. Let's try this. Just setting a background color. There we go. Nice. Oh, and it's like kind of transparent, which is what I wanted. So that looks good. Let's move that to our tile title and make sure it all looks good. Ooh. Okay, so that messes with this guy here. I'm gonna leave that for now and focus on the highlight stuff, and I will finish styling all that because this video is getting long. So last couple things I want is giving my hover properties to my description. So in CSS, where I hid my title or my description, we have display none. There's another selector that checks if it is currently being hovered. We put a colon and then hover. So when description is being hovered, we're going to display block. Display block is the standard display property. That's just going to make it visible. Let's see what that looks like. Refresh. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, I don't think it pushed. Let me refresh again. I know what's happening. So we are not hovering on the description because it's not visible. We're hovering over the project tile. So we're gonna switch this up to say .project tile. When we hover on that, then we're gonna apply the styles below to the child element called description. So when you have multiple things like this, this is telling me when I have a side nav, or when I have an active, something with an active class ID, something with an active ID as a child of this side nav component, we're gonna apply this to that specific element that is a nested element of our side nav. So I did the same thing here where we are hovering, when we're hovering on the tile, we're gonna show that description. And actually one more thing I wanna do is hide my tile title. Project tile, hover, tile title. Then I'm gonna display none. Let's see. Okay, refresh. Oh no. Oh, okay, yes, that is fine. So I'm hovering and they're trying to display, but they're not styled correctly. So let's make sure they look right here. This is because I haven't given my description the position absolute that everything else has. Let's see. Absolute. We also need to give it a width because it's too long. It's way too wide for this. So width. Let's see. My tiles are 400 pixels. There we go. So now that should be stuck. Woo, there we go. All right, it is stuck within that width, but it's a little bit too wide because I want it to have some room on the edges. So let's make it like 380. There we go. Nice. Everything is hard to read. I'm going to need to add some more styling for that. But I will do that off this video. Cool. Oh, my battleship one is missing for some reason. One more thing I'm going to add. Let me make sure I copy this over here into my description on hover. One more thing I'm going to add is the same kind of styling I have on, where did I put this? My home page. How my image has this shadow around it to look like it's floating because I really want these to look like tiles. So I'm going to grab that from here. This is the box shadow situation. And this I just got from online. I searched for box shadow and then there's a page that gave me that. So I'm going to give my project tile this. And so my project tile is a square. So if I add that to my image like this, where it's not a square that fills the whole tile, it's going to have this ugly box around the circular image. So I'm going to remediate that by, oh wait, sorry, I put that on the image itself. I want it right here. I'm going to fix that by giving this a background color. And I'm just going to make that white. Done. Cool, so then they all match. So I'm going to copy that box shadow over to my project tile. Already did. And then we get background white. Color white. Push it. So after this, the last little things I'm going to do off this video is make that text more readable on top. Probably with some kind of like semi-transparent background. Let's see, so I hover and it shows up. Another thing I might do when you hover is remove that image. I'm going to do that really quick because that's not hard. So the same thing we did here to our title. I'm also going to add this same selector again. You can add multiple selectors separated by commas. And I don't want to get the title, I want to get the image in there. And deploy that. So now when on hover, my title will go away and my image will go away. But I will have that white background still that I just added. Whoa. Okay. So the problem is our div goes away. This tile needs to have a width on it. Let's see if I can fix that. So this needs to have that pixel width too. 400 px and height 400 px, so it'll keep its own size because it is just sizing to its content. So now, yes, perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna add that to my project tile and then we'll look at each one. No, make sure your indents look pretty. Push it. So now my image is the same size as my tile, but when my image goes away, my tile will maintain its shape instead of just fitting its content because its content goes away. Nice. So on hover, I have nice readable descriptions. They all fit in there. Sweet. And then something is up with my battleship description. Let's debug that real quick. I think it is missing a class. That would be my best guess. Oh, I just didn't write a description. So that answers that question. I'll write that up. And then last thing I'm going to do is make the title more visible here. And that would work fine if I just did the background color here, which sets the background color of the whole space. Something like that. I could style it better. Except my problem child, so I'm gonna need to fix that one. And the best way to do that is setting my z-index. Z-index tells it how high up it is. So the higher the z-index, the more on top it is. So if I just gave it a 1, it'd be on top, but that still looks a little funky. So that's another next step into CSS to do some more active like styles that change when you interact with them. I will finalize this page, but hopefully that'll give you some more tools in your toolbox to make your own website. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.